Greetings, how you doing? Um, I'm gonna talk about something. In fact, let me reach out. I'm doing South Pole. I see you. I speak. All right. Sunday citations. Grand Rising. Um, I'm right. And I was doing something. I was watching a couple of YouTubes, talking positive, relaxing. And I was saying to myself, I'm just thinking, I remember reading something in a particular book, and it said my ancestors were more intelligent, more enlightened, more healthy, more conscious. And I was saying to myself, I said, okay, I can get that. I can relate to that. And, nothing wrong with being, up there. And then some scripture go through my brain was like, man cannot live on bread alone. And I'm like, wait, wait, what is going on? And I'm looking at the past, reading all these different tribes that have a high form of spirituality, should I say, right? And I'm saying to myself, these were our ancestors. They were definitely on a higher level than we are. The stuff that they made, I mean, just think about it. There are places that like have like doorways. If you're the right weight, the door opens. If you're the wrong weight, it doesn't open for you. So I'm saying to myself, what was the difference between our ancestors and us today? respect. Because the truth of the matter is, I don't place nobody as no God. Oh, well, take me the way. Listen, respect people is one thing. Having a certain form of admiration that becomes like a God status is no for me. You can do it. I want you. I look at that as foolish. I really do. I don't place nobody. I respect them for the information they have, but I don't place them on God's standard at all. Not, none of them. And some of them I'm fond of, but I don't put them on God's standard. Know, that's, y'all can leave that to y'all. Y'all leave it to people. That's y'all. Y'all do that stuff. But I don't do it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm reading the Bible and I question it. And I said, we're going backwards. We're going forward. What that sound like? What that looks like? It looks like this. You're going like this, right? You're going this way, right? And all of a sudden, without people knowing, you're going this way. And everybody thinks you're still going that way. But you're not going that way. You're looking that way. But you're going backwards. I'm saying to myself, why are people walking backwards when they should be walking forward? I'm like, let me think about it. Our ancestors were vegetarians, vegan, breatharian. All these beautiful things, trust me, right? Could be beautiful. They definitely will bring your body and everything to a higher level. But what was the act to be overthrown by something that is anything? What did they lack for them to be overthrown? Let's just look at it. Now let's take that part, right? We know they've been overthrown. Or maybe it's like shelf life. That was their time and it's over, right? Let's think about that. What would they like? Think about it. Think about it. They was lacking something. And whatever it was, these entities that we don't believe in today, most of us don't. I don't have any second thoughts. I know that in the unseen world exists, period. say to myself, how did these everyday and spiritual levels, you don't think so? You know, when I think about the New Age movement and I think about black consciousness, I see a lot of New Age European leading us in spirituality. I'm saying to myself, what? That could not be that. Come on, man. It's open for everybody, right? I mean, you know, there's people that become very quote unquote, carbohydrate, carbohydrate, it surfaced. I met a woman today, and I saw her body, a Bugatti, like a Bugatti, a Bugatti, Bugatti, Bugatti. It had no means body, but I like the word because it actually means more than body. And I said, how did you go up? Was it like you look at one, you look at right, inspired, right, emotional? She said she read this book called A Police Code, right? And she said that our body weight is due, our emotional, interject that, but it's really mental, basically, right? And I'm like, okay, it is. So let's say, for instance, right, just the conscious community, how many people actually think that it's all these people, like, you got Upset, you got Brother Collide, you got, I got really many people, so I know, so-called people would say, I know Cowboy, you got the Fields, you got the Rays, you got just a lot of people in those things. Hopefully they're not all going to like how they do network marketing. Everybody jumps on another person bandwagon. You got the blue pills, the red pills, the Novas, Moshikishis, the other people. You got all these people consciously aware from when you came to get a That's real conscious. We can't even do things together. That's conscious. No, no, for real. We can't do nothing together. That's conscious. No. And I'm like, people telling you all these things. This is what you do. That, blah, blah, blah. Etc., etc. About who was about thinking positive. And I'm like, there's something missing. Because I think our ancestors did that already. But there's something missing more than that. What do you think it is? It's something missing. Because our ancestors did all of this that you're talking about. Right? And I think we envy our ancestors for what they did. Just like we did Lulu do. Like we did Lulu got us thinking highly about our ancestors. Because obviously there's some things that our ancestors did not teach them. Because here it is. We're talking about these and all these vegetarian opinions. I walk up to any one of them and challenge them for unity. And they will have second doubts. You know why? Because they don't know who the hell I am. You know what that is? It's coffee. So when you have fear, right? You do all these things, right? You want to think positive, you want to do all of that, right? You know what that is? That's fear. It's driving. That's the missing pieces. See, people don't realize that negative emotions will drive people to be positive, right? Now, I want you to think about a virus. And what does a virus do? If it was to maintain its course, the virus, if it's small enough, it will want its host to be the best of best. Because the more he eats good things, the more stronger the virus becomes. So, if you want to bring in more order with higher technology, what would you do? Me personally, I'm about to think real evil for y'all right now. Ready? I want y'all to look at me. I'm going to think seriously evil right now. Me personally, you know what I would do? I would teach y'all all. If I was the opposition, I'd teach y'all all of that. You know why? Because I want you slow. You know, that's why I would teach you that stuff. I want you slow. Really. But you know why? Because you're driven from fear, anger, desire, greed, empathy, guilt, shame, a whole lot of negativity. Because you don't want other people to think you're negative. You don't want other people to think of you in a certain way. Me, I am who I am. Accept it or not. That's your choice. But I can tell you one thing. If you look on this board, I did the IA, right? Light. You see, this is light. These people go way above us. Here's the light, right? Here's the light, right? Let's say this is light energy, right? Or should I say photonic energy or whatever, right? On this side, this is over here. This is emotional energy. This is right. This is emotional energy. You have light energy most important things within us, light and emotional energy, right? Now, you see the star I have here? I got number four. It's number four on the spectrum of fear. It takes 100 ELVs when you're in fear. That means as low as you go. What's going on, big brother? As low as you go, right? But here's weird, right? Look up. Let's go up the scale. Let's see where four begins again. Wait a minute. Four is on the scale too, but it's in love. Now wait a minute. Did we already talk about that over here? You see the 44? There's the 44 there. So what am I saying? Remember how I'm talking about the brain? Four lobes on the brain, four lobes on the left equals 44. And 44 is 8, right? And 8 is like an infinite word of going. It's like the snake chasing his tail, but never catches it. So what do you do? It's like the famous saying, do not try to beat. Hey, what's going on, big brother? Do not try to beat the river. Submit to the river, right? So what are we doing today in this time and era? We are beating against the river. We are beating ourselves to try to better ourselves when we should just surrender to ourselves. You know, why is that? Because trying to beat these lower vibrational energy takes more energy to beat it. If you think about it, it's gravity. It's real powerful, right? So, how do you fly if gravity is so strong? You know, there's some say they don't know how they fly or soar or hover with the little rings they got in their bodies bigger than their wings. But they somehow manage to fly. Gravity should be pulling them down, right? They should never be able to fly. But some of them fly awkwardly, right? You know why is that? It's because they don't fight against gravity. Gravity has a repulsion. It pushes you at some point. It don't want to hold you down. It wants to see you soar. But see, the thing with fear, fear is like gravity, but fear wants to hold you down, but it doesn't. It just makes you idle. Now, what do I mean by that? Because fear is, I broke it down, fear is F-E, iron, and A-R is argon, which is argos in Greek, which means idle. So fear makes us idle. You understand? It slows us down. It makes us docile. It makes us content. It makes us calm, cool, collected. You know what I'm saying? Chill. Fear. Fear don't want us to wants us to be calm, cool, relax, bro. Take it easy. Why you worry about all these things? There's nothing you can do about it. That's eventually what people will say to you, right? People will say, oh, you got the whole country, right? They are all afraid. They have great chronic fear. If they didn't, then it will be different. It's an extreme level of fear. And the reason for that is because they're trying to swim a river when they should just go with the flow. The river will take you to where it's at. See, what people don't understand, it is not so much of you being the river. It's about you turning yourself into the river. Like in the movie Matrix. Don't try to bend the spoon, for that is impossible. You don't fight the river, for that's impossible. Like, if you're gonna fight evil, it's impossible to fight evil. Because evil will always be a poison snake will always be a poison snake. What's the sense of trying to kill the poison out of the snake? It always will be a poison snake. Poison will just be poison. And the most interesting thing about poison in this thing called the tree of life. Remember how I broke it down for us, right? Right here, where it says glory, but you know what in the cooking, you know what stands there? Poison. Poison of God. Now I want you to think about this word, empathy, glory, and splendor. And I want you to think about, just think, be evil. Think real evil, so to speak. And say, how can you poison glory, splendor, and empathy? What can you do to disrupt this here? And look, when you look up top, you see what's there? Strength. And if you go to the right, you see what's there? Victory. And if you go downward, you see what's there? Sannyasa, attachment. And if you go across, you see right there? Onto Tefillah, which is compassion and everything like that. If you go diagonal up this way, past that, you see what's there? Chisel, love, and kindness. Now, that's one attribute of you. Here, 1, 2, 3. If you want to go crazy with it, shoot your sword, your foundation, and then it hits your Muhammad, your love. Wait a minute. So this poison right here, but wait a minute, it could go upwards and up. And now, understanding and agreement. Right? Akunas Utosu. Okay? So you're talking about one thing that poison empathy and glory and splendor. It can hit all of these different things. It can poison and make you be attached to the world. How? It's called reverse psychology. Right? When you have fear of something, what do? There's two things that you do. because I was watching a few YouTubes with different people today, and various downloads was coming into my brain. So I told you I was gonna chill out, right? But I can't, I am chilling out, um, right? But what I realized is that we're fighting the river. So guess what we're doing? We are actually joining that which we hate. Can I know how to tell you this? Just think of your mind, right? Think of your mind in the genetics. Okay? What do your body do when there's something that's threatening its life? It either fights it or it runs from it, right? Those are the two things. Now, what happens if you have no fear of that? Then you would not fight it. Why? Because you're already protected with not harm. You done healed yourself from the fear. See, the fear makes you act to make you think, why did I have that thought anyway? To either fight or run. Where did that come from? It came from fear. You see, these people, when they came to our ancestors who were highly advanced than we are today, highly, truly advanced, they are. They really advanced. They are telling y'all, who? Listen, not even it was so advanced that it took like it took aliens, some gems or whatever. Now you hear about this thing called the hidden gems, right? It took these beings that were prior before us to distort our visions, to distort our emotions, to distort our light frequency codes, our thought patterns. A higher being that is not seen to distort people who see. Maybe that's the problem. We need to stop seeing. Because obviously, what we are seeing is not helping us out. What do I mean by that? I want you to really think about it. What do you see in this world today? Is it helping you out? Are you fighting the river? Or are you running from the river? You haven't surrendered to the river. The river is going to, instead of trying to fight it, instead of trying to run from it, be the river. This is like the thing of Bruce Lee, right? When the water goes into a teacup, it becomes the teacup. When water goes into a vase, it becomes the vase. What is there to fight? What is there to run to and run from? Where are you going to run on this planet Earth from the Urubus if you believe they are your biggest enemy? Your biggest enemy is yourself. Yes, they could possibly be an enemy. 100% possibly could be a very big enemy. But the biggest enemy is not them. See, because they could not be the biggest enemy if you didn't make them the biggest enemy. You see, this is what our ancestors did to us. They implanted a seed a long time ago. Because why? Some of our ancestors freak with the demonic world. I call it witchcraft, voodoo, brings in higher forms of jinns, higher forms of spirits that vibrate on a higher level because they're looking at that signal that who is summoning it, who is calling it. How did first of all, how did they summon me? Like, oh, this must be a good subject to, to go into the Gaia, into the unseen, and summon me. Oh, and there they come. We call them ancestors. I don't play that shit. I say it because, I'm like, oh yeah, you got an ancestor, right? But I know, you should know by now, it's not an ancestor. I'm telling you about it. It's your higher self. You have multiple selves. It's your higher self that I be talking about, not your ancestors. You are your ancestor. You are the star. You are the star. Not your ancestors. You are the star. People say your ancestors live within you. So that means you engulf your ancestors. So yeah, that means that when you go back, your ancestors take over you. And they live your life. You know how that is like a parent? The parent takes over their children, living their children's lives through them. You know how a parent didn't go to college and they're looking at their child and saying, wow, for the first time, I can go to college. They're not doing it for the child. They're doing it for themselves. When you hear us beating the river, we be beating the river. When we go, I want you to go to school to have a better life than me. No, you don't want to. You're not saying that. That's an oxymoron. That's a trap for the kid. That's a trap. What you're doing is that you're psychologically, because see, we don't know that the archives, right? These archives, which are that connects to our neuro, because they're telepathically beings. They talk to us silently. They don't make noise. Like some people would say in the Quran, the jinns, they whisper, but you don't have to listen to their whisper. They make no noise, right? So they be telling you and talking to the parents to talk to the kids, right? To influence the kids to continue this path that they already set motion in most of the parents. It's like right now, I look at the collective conscious of conscious people around the world, and I'm saying to myself, why don't we beat the river? Why are we fighting against the river? Why are we fighting and running? This is the two things we do right now. We're fighting something or we're running from something. Why are we doing it? It's fear. And when fear touches you, you can never have no love. Ever. Doesn't exist. Because love itself deactivates the neural pathways responsible for negative emotions, such as fear and social judgment. Now I want you to think about this, people. Truly think. Do you fight or do you run from in Arabic, we would say, in Arabic, in Islam, they say, dunya, right? The world, this world, but dunya means more than the world because the world is words. It's just spoken words. That's hemoglobin because the iron becomes idle. The iron is a neutron, is an electron. In order for iron to be iron, the electrons have to spin. So if the electrons are retrograded or idling, what happens to your hemoglobin? What happens to your oxygen? What happens to your breath? What happens to your spirit? It becomes argon. And argon increases argons. It becomes iron. So what are you doing? You're just doing this. Look, y'all. Look at me. You're just doing this. That's all you're doing. And you're moving, though. You're moving, right? You ain't going a damn way. We ain't going nowhere. Because to somebody, if they look, they can see you. You can project that type of vibration over there. Because once somebody sees you and the way they think, they be like, oh, you up there. You just doing it. You ain't going to there. That's what collective consciousness does around the world. We're just checking. We ain't doing nothing, just vibrating, standing still. Because we have chronic fear. Spiritual chronic fear. No, don't go into all of this. Don't go into this emotion. Don't go in here. Because, see, red, the first thing coming red is pride. And pride is a multiple color thing. It's a rainbow. It shoots in all the colors. Then and then check it out, you got pride. And somebody try to mess with your pride, what you do? You get angry. Then with that anger, you have a desire to do what? To cause fear in them. Or to have fear. And then once you have that fear, and you do something to somebody, you feel grieved about it. And sometimes you feel so bad, it's empathy. But then that empathy becomes guilt. And that guilt becomes shame. And then somatically, you start to die. Death. But you have to remember fear, right? Is a negative emotion that it also causes what's called social judgment. Think about all of us. What do we do? Don't we judge people socially? I'm not going to hang out with that person. Right? We look at that person, we project, and we shadow, and we say, it's like me, I do it. I do it. Hell yeah, I do it. And I know I'm doing it, at least I don't know. That's the funny thing, like, I'll be like, oh, I just projected on this person. Lord me. Right? Now, I want you to realize what I just did. When I do stuff like that, when we do stuff like that, we could check judgment. Mental judge. Juju. Ever heard of the word juju? Juju is witchcraft. But we don't even know we're doing it. Like when I do it, sometimes I juju a person. Or chicken. Right? That's witchcraft. I curse the person. Unbeknown to me that I'm doing it, I do it. Because we have social judgment. That's why I learned not to judge most people. Like people ask me, what do I think about Donald Trump? I say, I have no thoughts of the man. I don't know the man. What you mean you don't know? You don't see what he's doing? Hell no, I don't see what he's doing. Is he around me 24/7 for me to make an accusation like that? That's called social judgment. That means I have a fear of somebody I don't even know. Why would I want to have fear of someone I don't know? Why? So they can control me? Because if they find out I have fear of them, then they could do a whole lot of stuff against me. So why have fear against these people? What are we afraid of? Like, for instance, we're so afraid to come together. We really are. We really are. Like, there is no true conscious people that could come together on the strength of love. You know why? Because you got fear. When you got fear and you got social judgment, so you know what social judgment is? You can have Brother Polite and Young Pharaoh and Nature Boy, known as Baja, and let's put Aset in there, right? People are going to have social judgment with all of them. You know why? Because of fear. When you have this, you don't have this. This is nowhere near. You can say that word all you want to. It means nothing. Nothing at all. It's just a shell. It has no essence. Meaning that it is soulless. When we say we love each other, we don't love each other. Because to have love, you have three components of neurotransmitters before you even get to love: dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. Now, which one of them is gonna make you feel reward, and then you're gonna have expectations. Then another one make you feel the pleasure, the focus, attention, the motivation. Then oxytocin kind of makes you contentment, calmness, security. But then here comes vasopressors, long term. Minds, all that they minds, right? So we have fear and don't even know it. That's why we have no love today. That's why we cannot come together today. Because we have chronic fear. Not acute, chronic. And in some people, they're extreme. So they fight against something. You know what it is when you fight against something that you it doesn't matter what you do. Like, technically speaking, if we fight against these people, it doesn't matter what happens because they don't they don't register. It doesn't matter to them. They will keep on fighting. It doesn't matter. They will not give up once you start their intensity. Oh, you want to fight? So what you gonna do? Fight for eons, millions and millions of people die. What? Make a point. Just make a point. See, our problem is not surrender. Be different. What do that mean? Be different. Stop of everything in fear. Be different. What you afraid of the river? You afraid to drown? How can you drown when your body is mostly water? See, because you don't understand life. You came out of water. You came out of ocean water at that. So imagine a cushion water. Imagine if you was a ant, right? And you was standing by the woman when she must give birth, and her water burst. Do you know what that water would look like to an ant? It would look like a tsunami. So what would the ant do in a situation like that? But surrender to. You ever saw the movie Perfect Storm? They was battling against the storm, the hurricane, just battling, right? Some of them died, some of them quote unquote got on the naval boat, right? That somehow can turn and flip, you know, created like that. But they got the hell hell up out of Dodge, right? Okay, and they didn't have the right shit. But see, the naval boat probably didn't go into the eye of the storm. They thought that they could beat the storm. And all of a sudden he looks and he sees, shit, this is the eye of the storm. I'm not, yes, I'm not going to win. And what do? He surrenders. Because that's healing. And to the end, you surrender it to yourself. You know what that's like? That's like they say, it's like how the Hebrew says. It says, fear not the one who can just take your life, but fear the one who can take your soul. Right? So why are we fearing people who just, yeah, they might do a thing, like I said, they might capture your soul. They could capture your soul, right? You know why? Because you sell your soul to them. So you become a soul slave. That's bad. So how do you become a soul slave? You fight them and you lose. And if you lose it, you give your soul to them. Well, you won. You ever heard people say that? You won. You know what they mean by that, right? All right. You got it. You got it. You won. Right? Instead of, like, I'm not going to even fight you. There's no sense to it. You would just beat me. Why fight you? You would just beat me up. Physically, you got tanks, you got bombs, you got planes, you got all of that. And the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to lose, right? Now, if everybody felt a certain kind of way, it would be kind of different. But if that's not going to happen, float with the river. Don't even fight it. Don't even run from it. Float with it. If you are sure in who you are, there should be no weapon that prospers over you. Even if you die, you did not give in to that force because you did not fight it and you did not run from it. It was neutral. You see where neutrality goes? It takes courage to be neutral. Willingness, acceptedness. Look at these words. Pride is here. It's real close to courage. So most people, they get this thing, why do LGBT use the word pride? Because it's close to courage. They try to project it like it's courage. It's not courage. It's anger. Courage is neutral. When you neutralize things, it's like, how do you know that? Because you know how some people's like, they're afraid of homosexuals, right? They're afraid of them. So what do people do? They fight them or they run from them. I'm not afraid of them. That's like me being afraid. I took this kid heads, bigots, racists. And I said, I go up to them, I said, white power. They say, you damn fucking right, nigga. I go, thank you very much. They're like, you the only one that recognize white power. Damn. What did I just do? I swore they had attention, give it to me. Feed them. You know why? Because there's a science. Energy can only go but so much and then it bursts and explode internally. Boom. Like sudden death. Like if you get an emotional spike of neurotransmitters, it could cause you to die instantly. You're dead. So you're feeding these people. See, that's what I learned about the creative people. Like, oh, there's no God because wasn't there, what's God? Then why would God allow all this shit to happen? Blah, 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 etc., etc. And I'm looking at people, I'm like, dude, people, you're the emanation of the Creator. The only reason why these things are existing is because of your freaking mind. How about that? How about that? Your mind. If I called y'all to come together, let's create a village, y'all would think of a million reasons why I'm not traveling to you, and I'm not coming together to you, and I'm not giving up all the things I have. I am not doing that fucking shit, man. Kiss my ass, motherfucker. Fuck you. It might be a scam or something like that, and I just be giving out free information out the box, and I'm like, no, I just want to see if we can do a nation. I just want to see, can we flow? Can we flow in love? No, because see, love is unconditional. I don't have no conditions. Y'all think I have conditions in this book? I have no conditions. It's just, I don't like people when they come in and they try to distort everybody. Like, we had a person that did and I had to get rid of her. And then someone called me and they said, man, this woman, do you know who she is? She's here. I said, what you talking about? You really think so? I already know what he's talking about because I knew her out in the group. He said, man, I done checked her Facebook. I done read everything. And it can be positive. See what people say. He said, this is the problem with people. Lucifer comes as an angel of light. Right? Light means you see things. He could come with fruits, vegetables, spirituality, all the wonderful things you love. He accompanied you. Talk with you, converse with you about this. But he always would not give you the right things you need because he wants to control you. He uses kindness as a manipulated force to get closer and closer to you. That's why they say, keep your friends far away, but keep your enemies close. See, they know you are opposition to them, so they don't want you to come together. They want to lead your opposition. So I want you to think about that. Leon was a man, brilliant in mind warfare, psychological warfare, brilliant. He says, Lenin says, lead the opposition. Lead it. So every group that's predominant black, behind the black person, behind the curtain, is a white person funding the whole organization. Right? Leading it. We don't have nobody to lead that shit right now. The only way that they can lead it is by them saying, well, y'all have no money, y'all have nothing on that. Right? There's no leading. We can't create our own money because we don't want to come together to create our money. It'll be like reading about black people and how much black people spend. I go up every year. We trillions of dollars a year. Man, we can take care of that ourselves. Period. We're the lowest thinking, non-together, fearful people I ever saw on the planet Earth. But yet the biggest mouths, the roughest, toughest, coolest, and meanest balls, but yet the most enslaved of them all. How did that work out? It's because we got a lot of fear. And we idle. We idle, just shaking. You're just shaking. Why? Because it's binding. Fear binds us. And then the guess what fear does? It takes over oxytocin, opiate, and serotonin. Tells you, hey, you enough, but you ain't enough. You're not enough. Think about it. The things we do them to the extreme because we've been socially rejected by the white people and by other races. So we do things to the extreme. When we study to the extreme. Why? Because we want other people to know we're not stupid. Where did that come from? Fear. We want people to know we're the most spiritual people on the planet. Where did that come from? Fear. We want people to know we're the most healthiest people on the planet. Where did that come from? Fear. We have all of the health things and stuff like that. And, we can tell you about this and that and blah, blah, blah. Why? Because of fear. We fear death. We always been fighting death. And that's why when this evil spirit came, our ancestors didn't ask because they knew they had developed fear. They have developed a desire. They have developed grief, guilt, shame, anger. And all it did was heighten those forms of suggestibilities. Now we all grow into what they call generation curses. You know why? It's so simple. Because it's a river that our ancestors fought, that our mothers fight, that our fathers fight, that our uncles fight. So if everybody's fighting this river, and you never see nobody go, hey, just be. And you see the person, ooh, that might be me. You're like, that motherfucker go to drop. Drink the water. Huh? Whoa, this river, son. Come on, man. It's gonna take you where you need to go. You look at that, this motherfucker's crazy. You know where that river could go? It could go out into the ocean where there ain't nothing but ocean sharks and all of that, right? I'm not making hell no. Just jump in the river. Let it go. Let it flow. I guarantee you the river is sooner or later it's gonna smooth out. It's gonna be like, how did you like the rock? Reception. Excellent. That's what the rules do. They jump in the them ones that jump. Yeah, I mean, if I was in that river and just go in the river, I bet you 100 people would jump in that river. Friggin' fire out with you, man. Hey, wow. See, but guess what they're doing? Me and them is doing it for two different things. They're doing it for the enjoyment, and the river might be sucked down. Because why? It's the river. It's enjoying. The river just wants company. So it's enjoying the company. Well, it's hard. Yo, man, what's your name? Oh my gosh. Oh, look at them. They damn scared. Jump in the river. And I just want to now look at them. That man lost his mind. And you propose a right with him. And he got to be an agent. No. It's just I realize this. They're getting to a point where they want to tap into our brain or Neuralink. Eventually, we're going to be the mom. We're going to be eventually connected energy wise. We're not connected physically. Sooner or later, we're going to be connected physically. And then that's when the battle happens. That's when the battle freaking happens right there. So if you haven't been on the high vibration, you're going to lose harder. If you've been fighting them, you're going to lose. If you've been running from them, you're going to lose. But what's the game to do, Surrender? Do you know that the neural link is linked to our DNA, to black people's DNA? All of this technology that is coming is linked to our very energetic beings. Did y'all know that? See, when I was in Columbia University Medical Center, East Coast, one of the best out there in research, because that's their number one thing, research. Okay, so they're big hospital, right? They're not hospitals, they're medical centers, right? They're learning facilities. Their biggest thing is research. The second is teaching or learning. The third, they call them patients, but they're not patients. They lab, human lab people. They're like the mice in a lab. We call them patients, but they're not patients. They're really experimental subjects. They just use the word patient. It's just like using the word, what's the new word? Okay, you have neurogenetics, now you use bioethics. Oh, that should sound pretty. Or you have what they call poor people. What's that word? They use the marginalized. Marginalized. Just a fancy word for a fucking poor ass person. It doesn't even matter on the cover, just poor, just worth shit to them. Marginalized. They use these words. Why? Because they are up in the river. Like they control the dam, so they control the flow of the river. That's what they believe. So if they control the flow of the river, there's nothing you can do, right? But go with the river. Why fight the river? See, here's our deal. We're so busy trying to fight the river that they create. We're forgetting about ourselves. See, that's so smart. That's smart. They're highly, highly advanced psychologically than we are. They intelligent times 10. And psychologically, they on another level. We can never believe it. You know why? Because we forgot one, the creator. That's huge. Doesn't matter what name you call it. You can call the creator a different name, it doesn't matter. There's no book to tell you truly this is the creator's name. You'd be stupid. If you really believe that, then you're stupid. Because even when I study the Quran, and I study at Saudi Arabia, I didn't study in America. I was in Saudi Arabia. I got paper right now. These people, they know who I am. I'm bad to the bone. Like, bad meaning good, right? I'm bad to the bone. I was the one who promoted Islam in the military when they already knew about it. And the first pushing off war. I'm the reason why there wasn't so much warfare as far as soldiers fighting on the ground and everybody. If you never heard about it, people were being, read about the Persian Gulf. There were people who were turned into what they call wasn't going to fight this war because it didn't make sense. There were Christians who became better Christians and wasn't going to fight this war because it was a devil thing. There were people who was turned into, I don't never say convert, I say revert. Why? Because it's a reversion of something you already know. Because in Islam they tell you, if you're people of the past, they call you a name. They call you Al Kitab, the people of the book. Now, mind you, that's a book they have. That book is not this right here. That book is not this. That is not the Anabah al Mahfuz. That is not the Quran. That is a preserved tablet. That's not here on this earth like we talk about Ashar records. That's what that is right there. It's a preserved, you know how they say, you know how the Helios Biblos, right? The sun, right? It's shining light on you, which I don't understand, right? Of course not. Put it in the book, niggas don't read. It's not about reading, it's about comprehension. That's a totally different thing. You can read the book all you want to, but comprehending it, when it's talking something totally different than what you read it, it's a total different whole concept. And this is where people fail because people are like, oh, well, the Arabs have this book. It's not their book. They don't have the knowledge for it. You see, what y'all don't understand is this. We learn from the Greek. We like to use the word download. We get downloads. Who do you get downloads from? Your ancestors. I don't think so. But if you get downloads from your ancestors, you know what's going to happen to you, right? Now, just picture this. If you go back to your ancestors or try to even get here, which would be totally impossible, because you're not nowhere as intelligent, as wise as they were, and still get their ass whooped. Think about that. So let me tell y'all something. I studied X-ray, right? I studied X-ray before, right? And a lot of people, they jump and they leave because once you go to people are like, oh my God, how dare you talk about the ancestors? Oh, I'm like, you a motherfucker. The motherfuckers. So look at this. You learn this in X-ray. You learn this actually when you go to school and you take anatomy, physiology, chemistry, and everything, right? You go right here. Let's say this is a neutron proton, right? You have things called shells, right? You know what a shell is? An organ, right? So let's say, depending on what school you're learning, right? You got the first one. We all know what that is. That's hydrogen. You got a second one. That's another shell. And we got two things like that. We already know what that is, right? That's helium. And then it just keep on going, right? Right? There goes 1, 2, 3. You know what that is, right? Okay, and it just keep on going. Now, I want you to think about this. You come from here, right? But you know where you are? You're way out here. Damn it, this is your shell down out here. With everybody. You're way out here. So this shell is way out here. So you're way far from the nucleus, right? How are you going to time travel backwards to do the same things the ancestors did when you can't even do that because that is not your shell? Do you understand what I'm saying? You are not here. You are here and here. That's it. You are with the creator. Okay? You are with the creator. Okay? And you're here. Totally different thing. That means y'all don't accept our presence. So when you don't accept your presence, that means you're in fear. So when you give up your presence of today, that means you have fear. You have so much fear, you don't even live in your presence. So you surrender your presence to anybody. So anybody comes along, they just pick our shit up and keep it going. You know why? Because we don't respect our presence. Because we're too busy trying to be one of these shells all the way up here. When we all the way, look at the distance. And this is on a billboard, so imagine how great we are. Way out here, there's a lot of us, trust me. That's because we don't respect our presence. We live in the past. We don't even look towards the future. Because if you ask most kids today, they will tell you there is no future. I have no future. Others will tell you, like Tupac. Tupac said in many interviews, they said, yo, what you think about future? I'm just trying to live today. And now, he said, because I don't know, there is no future. He's like, because he knows he lives amongst people who have no love. Think about love. Social. When you have no love, that means you have fear. And fear is going to create social judgment off the bat. So that's what we call buckets in a barrel. It's the ultimate fear. See, when I did something, I said, what's the origin of illness and disease in the mind? You see this book, Well-Being, right? Look at it. The origins of illness, sustainable eating, herbs for heart health, right? Reversing fatty liver, healing heartburns, right? Natural antibodies, right? So here it is. This is the thing, the origin of illness. So what is one of the things I said? We must forgive ourselves for judging off the bat, for feeding negative, what I got up there, negative emotions, for allowing ourselves to be victims. Hello? Hello? Anybody home? I don't think so. Shells. For losing a job, for and in all circumstances where we hold negative emotions. Here we go. Right? All we're doing is going up these 8 little lines. See, there goes the number 8. You see 8 right there? You see the 4 in the 4 is 8. This is the good one. We are in the tree of death because of our knowledge. Look, I got bad knowledge. Oh, I got bad knowledge all over the place, right? All these books, bad knowledge. But what makes me want to say, hey y'all, why we can't come together? Let's create a village. Let's try this out. Give me 6 months. Y'all wouldn't even do it. You wouldn't pack up. You know, there's a famous saying, right? They say Christ, Christ, right? People don't even understand that book, the Helios Biblos, it's not a religious book at all. The Quran, the Torah, they're not religious books at all. They are thought books. The way you think is the way you breathe. That'd be like you reading Letter and all of that, or the Bhagavad Gita, or any of those books, Told, the Tao, this, whatever you read. It's not the book. It's the person who reads the book. And when the person reads the book, they get their own interpretations. And depending on and say, is it not pretty in the King James Bible that the black man should be a slave? Right? It's who reads the book, how they comprehend it, and how do they flow with light. Look at this word, light. This is the light spectrum, right? Emotions. This is the emotional spectrum. What are they both about? Flow and circulation. Light flows, light circulates. Do it not? Emotions flow and circulates. Do it not? So when I tell people come together, they don't want to come together. You know why? Because you're afraid. You're afraid of losing what you have. You know, they have a famous saying, you want to be Christ conscious? Let the dead bury the dead. Why? Because those things are in death. See, when you don't want to let go of something, that's because you have fear. You know, that's that, what's that character, Charlie Brown, with the blanket? You know, he always had the blanket. No matter how dirty that blanket was, he held that. That was his security blanket. He held on to that blanket. If that blanket was him, this is what y'all do to the world. The materialism of the world. Knowing damn well it's an illusion because atoms don't touch each other. So the only thing that brings atoms together is your mind. Quantum physics. The atom sees the observer. And it's, oh shit, that's iron. That's hydrogen. That's helium. That's me. That's you. Atoms have consciousness. We're all atoms. If we're atoms, we're negative and positive. We're protons and the neutrons and an atomic shell, which is the body, but we're atoms. Is it not true that inside of man is a female energy, inside of female is a masculine energy? Isn't that protons and neutrons? And our whole body is electrons, because that's electric. So when Dr. Sadie talk about eating food that's electrical, what is he feeding? The body. you ain't even touch the soul. This is why homegirl, she said demons was chasing her, Lopez. And when you read the story of Lopez, I did a bit that out. Ooh, I broke that shit down. Ooh, I broke it down. And I broke it down. I had to, it destroyed my computer. I broke it down. But I can tell you this. Lisa Lopez was so impressed by Dr. Sadie because what did he do? He healed her electrons. It's your body, but your protons and neutrons, demons was still chasing her. He can't do that. He can't fight her battles. He can only heal the body. No one never heals your mind. No one. Not even me. I can't heal your mind. You have to think of what I say, and then you have to heal your own mind. I can't do it for you. Like, I would have love. I can just do it right there. Somebody go, hey, let's come together. I go, okay, I got $5. Let's start it off. How much do it cost to get a land? You be like, I saw a land for like $79,000. Let's just get it. Let's just all work hard. If you do a number, right? Let's say you do a number, right? You have these electrons, right? And say you got $5, right? If you do a number and you had 1,000 people, right? And y'all bought this land. Y'all be like, costs $80,000, right? And then you'll notice they have a couple of places. Like if you say, hey, we'll buy the other thing, you think they're going to say no? These people love money. You just got to know how to finesse it. It's not a black thing. They're like, what is this thing? Us as our cousins, uncles, and everything. Trying to, oh, y'all trying to create a black community. Well, how can we create a black community when I just love my Donald Trump? Don't you love Donald Trump? That's Donald Trump. They be like, you like Donald Trump? Oh yeah. You know what? I give the man for you for $50,000. What the fuck? See, y'all don't understand because y'all trying to fight the rich. That's why they know I'm dangerous. James know. James been in this group for a while. He saw how they cut my videos. Jason knows. James knows too if he was here. He just left. He's too busy doing fighting his demons, should I say. And you know what I call them? I call them influencers and blockers. I don't even give a damn demons, right? Demon with D-D-E, right? Dead monads. You know what a monad is? It's a dead circle. That's what the demons are, dead D. Like D-D-E. Like that could be done. And M-O-N is moon, like Monday, monad. So they're dark, dead energy forces. That's what they are. So the only way that they exist is when we go into Cullen-Wolf, into the tree of death. See, they live in good and bad. That's it. You know why? Think about what good and bad is. Good and bad itself in English, good and bad. Right? You know how we all say we got good and bad in us? So in English, one word can describe all of that. Continuing forces. That's it. That's right there. Continue. You got your left hemisphere, your right hemisphere. You're continue. You got a male and a female. You're continue. Why do you fight against female if you're a man? That makes no sense. Because you have feminine energy. Why do you think men could cook and do certain things? You know, a long time ago, men were the nurses. Why do men do things that seem feminine to a degree? Right? Because it's degrees. Okay? And women tend to feel masculine in some things. Like she does certain masculine things. Now, when you're looking at on the level of physicality, that's where they got us fighting at. Physical. But why should a man fight a woman when he got a woman in him? Why should a woman fight a man when she got a man in her? Just look at two things: lesbian and gay men. Look at them two. Okay, they both been traumatized. No lie. Very simple. That's just it right there. Look at a lesbian, right? Somebody is going to take the form of a man. And somebody is going to, there's no switch swap, right? No. One of them is alpha masculine. And the other one is feminine call itself energy. That's what ISIS did. That's why black women and fraternities and stuff and all of that frat shit is ISIS is their goddess. Because why? She's the one that took the golden yogi, okay? And she impregnated herself with a dildo. So that's some powerful stuff, right? She didn't need man no more. That's what ISIS did. She didn't need Osiris. Then you hear about a person named Ansumi. And I'm looking at Ansumi. Oh, it's the dude in the Egyptian thing with a big heart on and he's holding it. And that's what women holds for. The thighs. It's gotta be big, it's gotta be low. You know, it's gotta be big, it's gotta be smooth, it's gotta be longer. You know, they got all types of names for this. It's all about phonics and notes. Because why? Fear of being who they are in the now. We're afraid to be who we are in the now. So we do extreme things. You see everybody coloring their hair all types of different colors. Because they want to be unique. They're fighting their own selves. They're fighting the system. You can't win against the system. Let me tell you something. These people think ahead. The only way you can win against the system is when everybody's in compliance with each other. It's like me. If I told everybody, like I told everybody, yo, we need to come together before 2020, and shit, all hell is gonna break loose. Yo, my brother, oh, my family, my friends, my co-workers. I was crying for 2 fucking years. From 2018 all the way to 2020. I'm still crying. I'm still talking about, hey, y'all, we need to get a village. I know that it's really late for a village. Because why? People have to be at that level where I just can almost surrender. Like, that's why y'all heard me say I might be gone for a while, because that means I'm about to surrender. I'm going down the river. You know, we have about a song about going down the river, right? You know, down by the river, you know, we have this little song, right? By the river, right? Don't go back, where it's going. It's been a long time coming, right? So we already know. Down the river, we got all types of songs for going down the river, right? Just go with the flow. That's what Moses' Day was all about. Flowing. He's a baby. About me, about them, about going with the river. I don't understand that. Bringing you to freedom. But notice something, he couldn't cross the promised land. Do you know we have people that take you to that one spot and they can't take you no further? Like Yoka, riding you, a Skywalker's back, and he's about to go in the cave. He's like, no, I cannot go in the cave with you, for you have to go in the cave yourself and fix your own business. No. What? You mean you brought me all the way here, mother, to tell me I gotta go in there by myself? What type of nonsense? This is why people go, man, freak that religion and spirituality shit. There is no God, this and that. Anybody that's black that tells me that, I try to stay away from. I'm like, there is no God. It's us and our ancestors. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go this way. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. But, oh, you don't respect your ancestors, you don't respect your mother, your great-grandmother, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, I do. I ain't gonna call my grandmother. man, you ever seen the movie, what's that famous movie? Time traveling, and you have a car and all of that. What was the name of that movie with Michael J. You're going back into time where you don't know nothing about it. You know, there's the past, present, and future. We have all three of them all the time. But what is the most important one when you live in the present moment, the now? See, when we think about the past, that's fear. When we think about the future, that's desire. It's just one gray up. It's just one gray up. And when we think about the future, we get angry. And then we turn into the line. And guess what we do? We go backwards. Right back into number 8, which is shame. Because we don't have nothing. We don't have nothing to look for in the future. We don't have nothing. So we feel shameful. We don't even try. Why try? Man, like that, I will be down. I ain't saying shit. I ain't doing nothing. Know how many people don't do nothing? And then we complain. You know, it's like black people complain about when white cops shoot them. We all fuck shit. It's out of control. Why? Because it's something to contend with. Why? Because that's really fear. You're frightening. Because you're not realizing, damn, do we do the same thing when we kill each other in our neighborhood? When our mothers know that their son got a gun in the house, that their son is selling drugs, do we march on our neighborhoods? Do we march in front of people's houses that sell drugs? You know, it's a what they call it, house. It's a crack house. You know, it's whatever they call it, right? It doesn't even matter. Stage house, front house, whatever house. It doesn't even freaking matter what it is. We know it's a house of fucking. Do we march on those houses like we march? Oh, let's go to the policeman who killed, you know, may they rest in peace. Though I'm not saying their name fine in vain, but who killed the girl from Kentucky? Let's march on these police. Why they ain't arrest them yet? But Raheem just killed your son and his crew, and you walk past them, or no, you walk the other way. I mean, oh, you're a rat. Oh, you gonna tell cops this and that. Somebody gotta police this damn madness, because obviously, one, the woman that made the man less than, they're not giving them the iron to be a man. A man needs iron so he can bust somebody's fucking head. But women are too busy trying to be the iron man. Not knowing how to be truly supported. Because you gave the man iron. Iron comes from females. Y'all don't understand this shit. Y'all really don't. Y'all don't understand what's really going on. Because y'all out here fighting the river. Everybody's fighting this fucking river. You're not going to win. It's futile. Let me tell you something. You have prophecy, right? Prophecies only becomes what it is because the people wanted it to be. So it doesn't matter what you do, single person, but the collective realize your bullshit. So the only thing you can do is be one with yourself, like Omar, when he got caught out there. He said, "Go ahead, do what you gotta do, because I have peace with my God." In the movie, what is it? Wire? Was it Wire? Omar? Yo, just drop them bags, man. Yo, he was a hell of a alpha male. He was gay as shit too, though. But he was an alpha male, and most women would love a man like that. Oh man, he don't run from nobody. That's why these women don't care about, they call themselves ratchet and all types of stuff. See, when you fuck with tantra sex, it's so powerful because demons come out of every time you have sex. You don't even know that. When I read that shit I read that in several places. But one day I went to the library and some said, pick up the book. Pick up this book right there. That yellow looking book. Pick this book up. The book. It, the one they talk about a lot. Okay, well when you study this, there's another book that they study. Okay? It's not the Talmud. The Talmud. I picked the Talmud up. Somehow or another I touched the right page. It was a message to me. When you have sex, because sex is spirituality, it's a ritual. You have sex for the pleasure, right? Pleasure is down here somewhere in there. Pleasure is not up there. It's not even there, right? Joy is not pleasure. Pleasure is negative. So you have this pleasure, and as you're having sex, there's energies that's more swirling around you. The room gets hot. You have some real good sex, the walls be sweating. Just like in a car. Everything gets hot. You start to slip and slide because you're turning into elements, and you're creating portals, or what they call water vortex. And you know what comes out of it? In the Talmud, they say the highest forms of demons come out of the interaction of people who don't realize sex is sacred. You don't do it all the fucking time. That'll be like you washing your hands all the time. How would your body learn about germs and bacteria and stuff like that? It cannot. So when a super virus comes, you're ducked up. You're knocked out the box. A common cold can kill. Pneumonia can kill. Flu can kill. You messed up because you ain't let your body identify, detect, and what's the other one? Identify, detect, and what's the other thing? Identify, detect, and it takes like data and everything. Send the right white blood cells with the right numbers to fight against that particular pathogen. See, this is the spiritual. We have light, right? So if you have anger, right? No, let's say fear. You have fear. Fear is number 4, right? You got fear. serve your shit. Don't worry about it. Born dogs. Talk wisdom and truth, Lambert. So this is what's going on. Then what light would you shine to recognize their fear? You gotta hit it with the X-ray. So you could look in your eye, right? And this is super strong. You gotta hit it with a gamma ray. Gamma that shit. Wow. Gamma, why gamma? God, 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 ma. Gamma, gamma, ma, gamma. My grandma. Right? You gotta come out hard with fear, right? Now, you see it, you recognize it, and you go, that's filled with this fear that I have. I got fear that I will get fat. I got fear that I will die if I don't eat healthy. I got fear if I'm not spiritually grounded. All of these things come from fear. So fear motivates you to do something. So what is in control? You or fear? Say that again, man. What is in control of you? Fear or you? See, because if fear makes you do things, then you're not in control. That means opposition is controlling your mind. Somebody of opposition is controlling your path. So your neural path is controlled. You know why? Because y'all looking for social, right? Social judgment. So you're socially judging somebody. That's fear. They want people. We are living in visible light. That's nothing. That's 0.00035. That's 0.00035. That's nothing. 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 And I tell y'all, I tell everybody, I said, dude, let me get at it. I would just get at all of these brothers who are conscious. I just tell them simple shit. I'm like, listen, no one rules in this group. What you mean? We gotta have a ruler. How? Let me explain something to you. Something that always overtake your rulership, Jalen. So I have a leader. If something can take over leadership, I have a leader. If you have the leader and no one can take over the leadership, it's empty. And it should remain empty. There's only one thing there. It's unseen. It can never affect. But it's the glue that keeps us all together. It's like what makes atoms go into their own orbit like that. I'm a one electron. First and foremost, people never ask the question, how do electrons come into existence with a proton and a neutron? How do that work out? So proton and neutron are masculine and feminine, and they have sex. Creating all the elements. Let me tell y'all, man, we gotta get out of here. And we can't do it next week. We have to do it now. You have to make a decision